Okay, call this meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Joey, if I could have a roll call, please.
Komowski. Here. McLeod.
Here.
Vogel. Here. Boozy.
Here.
Reddick. Here. And Montgomery is excused.
Anyone have any corrections on the minutes from last meeting?
I'll move that the minutes be approved as presented.
I'll second.
We have to vote on that?
Yes.
Yes.
Or at least all in favor.
Yeah, so all those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, any public comment? I'm guessing not unrelated to items not on the agenda. Hearing none, we'll go into the public hearing on the master plan. If we could have the presentation from staff, please.
Yes, and I'll try to move through it pretty quickly since we've gone over it a couple times. So if you look at the demographics, which is probably the first session, you're all familiar with the process we went through with the master plan, that we've been working on it for a while. But if you look at the population or the demographic summary, we've had a population decline from 1980 to 2020. It's about a 27.6 decrease in population. Our population was considered young, with over 60% being in the 10 to 29 year olds and another 15% being between the age of 30 and 49 year olds. Pretty low income. Our median income is $29,239. That's partially attributed probably to the age of our population. The younger, usually start making more money as you get older. And the Mecosta County median is $48,400. Education attainment is actually higher than the state and county, with almost 50% of our population having a bachelor's degree or higher. That can probably somewhat be attributed to having a university within the city limits. Housing information: 61% renter occupied, 39% owner occupied. And I just want to point out, a lot of people, as soon as they hear the word renter or rented occupied, think of college students, but not all rentals in the city limits are college students. We also have a lot of single family rentals or single occupant rentals. 46.5% of all occupied housing is detached houses, which indicate that it's probably single family houses. And 4 units and under are approximately 21.6% of all the occupied units. And then we have about 25% are larger complexes, which have 5 or more units in them. So the reason I highlighted the demographics is our next step after our master plan adoption is to start working on our zoning ordinance. And sometimes when we write zoning codes, we write them in a way that makes it hard to obtain housing or affordable housing. And so just to keep in everyone's head what our demographics are and what our median income is for our community as we write those zoning codes, so we're not zoning out new people in our community.
Did the 60% of the 1029, does that account for Ferris or not?
The 60% of the,
So city's population is young, 60% being between 10 and 29. Does that incorporate Ferris numbers, sort of, or not really, kind of hard to separate?
it's hard to separate. I would assume that it does.
Okay.
I would assume also, though, that it's not only Ferris, because if you think,
No.
we had this conversation in the office, 60% being young, but then we also have 50% with a bachelor's or more. So somewhere it's not all Ferris students because they all don't have their bachelor's degree. So I think that's an important point. Then we move into, I'm just doing highlights of the master plan. Non-motorized plans, we've been over this. We have a really good trail system throughout our community and throughout our parks. Some of the issues that we can improve on are safety with key intersections. Our trails don't really connect with our downtown or necessarily our commercial areas. And so trying to make that connection safer and more user-friendly. Improving some bike lanes across the streets and along the streets, and then just getting from the west side of, like, across State Street is also not an easy task when you're on a bike because the traffic is busy. Then we have the chapter on goals and objectives, and so we did goals from both the community engagement sessions and then goals that the steering committee came up with. From the community engagement sessions, the goals were to reinvest and redevelop, redevelopment. So they focused on the downtown, the northeast, and the east side are ripe for reinvestment. Filling existing vacant spaces or undeveloped properties and improving neighborhoods are a top priority for our citizens. Housing was a big discussion in our community engagement sessions. The need for more and for affordable housing. And I found a typo. And also survey results showed needing more support for single family homes, attached single family homes, townhomes and tiny homes. So just a wide variety of housing that we don't necessarily have currently in the city, or we have a very little amount of. Non-motorized and recreation infrastructure was also important for community members. Support continued investment in parks, recreation, and non-motorized infrastructure, and more activities along the river with more urban and walkable neighborhoods. And then we asked why people live here, why do they choose Big Rapids as their home? And they said it's close to employment with our recreational opportunities. They feel safe. They have a sense of community. There's lots of natural beauty, and they feel like people take pride in their neighborhoods, which are all great things. So then the steering committee worked on different areas of housing goals, and I'm not going to read them, or different goals for the community. I'm not going to read them all, but we talked about housing goals, community and economic development goals, public utilities and service goals, transportation goals, park and recreation goals. I will note that the park and recreation goals were taken out of the Parks Master Plan. So some of them have already happened, like one of the objectives was to develop Depot Park. Well, we're halfway through that development. So that's why some of them seem like they might be a little bit outdated, is because our rec plan is a couple years old. We also did natural resource goals, and then community and culture goals, and cooperation and coordination goals. So a lot of those goals were in the original master plan that we had, and the steering committee just kind of worked to massage them to bring them up to date, but they're mostly the same as what was in the prior master plan. The changes came in the future land use. So in our current master plan, we had a wide variety of different types of land uses. And then in our new master plan, we changed some of those categories. So instead of having residential and just single units and residential 2 to 4 units, we moved to a low density, medium density, and high density residential area on our master plan. We combined churches and government property to just become institutional properties. And then we called out recreational property. What else did we change? And then we added a neighborhood mixed use property type or land use type that wasn't in the previous master plan. I'm gonna pull that, figure out how to do that up so you guys can see it. Because that's probably one of the most important. I mean, there's lots of important parts of the master plan, but one of the things that the Plan Commission is charged with is when you have a zoning decision about a rezoning or a site plan, it's to look at the future land use of the property and how that decision is affected by that map, or how that decision affects that map. And so the neighborhood mixed use is probably what I want to talk about the most, because that's probably the one that's changed the most compared to our current future land use map. So like where Simon's Industry is and the Hanship property and OWL, those in our previous master plan were all industrial
What's OWL?
land uses.
OWL?
It used to be what Wolverine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the new name of the company. So that used to all be industrial land use for future land use. We moved forward with changing it to neighborhood mixed use, which allows it to be used for either residential or small neighborhood commercial type businesses, whatever kind of we see fit and wants to develop at the time. So this, one thing that's important is this doesn't change the zoning of the property. That's the thing everyone gets scared of. Oh no, they changed the zone. This doesn't change the zoning of the property. This just gives opportunity if someone wants to come in and redevelop property. The future land use map gives them direction on what kind of redevelopment we would be looking for. And so we also used that neighborhood mixed use. Oh, that's last. For along State Street. And in our current master plan, most of State Street is scattered with commercial and residential, depending on how the parcel is currently developed. And instead of having that scattered where it's so specific that it's not necessarily beneficial for future development, we also changed that to neighborhood mixed use, which I don't know if you read the neighborhood mixed use section, but that allows for both commercial and residential uses. So it's on commercial uses are more of a smaller scale, so it kind of gives you that neighborhood feeling, which is similar to what State Street is as you move along it. So I think that makes sense, and I was glad to see that change from the steering committee. Other than that, those two main changes, there's not a whole lot of changes from the future land use map from last master plan to this one. But those are some pretty significant ones. The other thing that our master plan did was look at different focus areas, and it picked 3. One of them, this thing doesn't like me today. One of them is the area behind Mechanic Street right now, which we showed a mixed use of development as far as residential. So it had, let me see if I can pull it up. Hold on just a second. So this is Mechanic Street as it's developed, this southern part. And then this shows like a more mixture of types of housing in the Mechanic Street area compared to what is in a lot of our neighborhood development now. And so this was one of the focus areas, and we did a charrette with members of the community, members of the Housing Commission, who came and gave some ideas about what they would like to see in that developments in the future. And this shows, you know, townhomes, cottage court housing, duplex lots, triplex lots, and just a variety, which makes it one more affordable to develop, which then also makes it more affordable to live in. So that was one of our focus areas. The second focus area was over behind Ridgeview, and we also talked to the community, or the second one was actually behind Curry's, that little grass area along the river there. That one came back with not any kind of specific ideas necessarily, but some possibilities for some residential or commercial type use that's really, and to have that relationship with the river for those. So they just gave some examples of things other communities have done along the river that could work
Is that area
in that
currently owned
area.
by the city?
Huh?
Is that area currently owned by the city?
It is not currently owned by the city, no. At the time that we were doing this, it was up for sale. It has since sold.
I have a question.
Yes.
When I looked at the wetlands,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like that is exactly where that development might be. That was all wetlands. And then when I looked at the floodway, and maybe it was just the print, but it looked like some of that might have been in the floodway. And I don't know if it was just my map. I'm just looking at the map that's in here.
Right.
So I just wondered if you speak to that.
There probably is some in the floodway. That wouldn't surprise me. It sits low enough to be in the floodway and have some wetlands on it. There's also probably a significant amount that's high enough that it would be out of the floodway. So at the time of development, if someone were to choose to develop it, they would have to go through Eagle with that to ensure that they're out of the
I just
floodway.
want to make sure I read it correctly. That's all.
I haven't
Sometimes
looked.
the colors on the floodway were,
Floodway maps are not super precise because they're at such a large scale. So,
thank you.
but I wouldn't be surprised if there was floodway there. The third section we looked at was behind Ridgeview, which has been a topic of development discussion multiple times throughout many years in the community. And instead of getting into a really detailed plan of what we thought would be appropriate on that property, the steering committee and the consultant just kind of did a transition of that property from, because you have single family residential on Ridgeview, and then you go further to the west and you have some apartment complexes on the south side of the road of Fuller. And so the concept is to kind of go from low density to high density so that you're not disrupting, necessarily the single family homes on the property, but you're also getting some more housing towards those apartment complexes on the west side. And so that's kind of a schematic that just shows that's the plan for the property for if it's developed in the future. So those were the major things I wanted to point out on the master plan. And then I do have Paul Griffith with the Friends of the White Trail did call me with some changes to some bike information that he found in the plan, so I will pass those along to the consultant as long as the board's okay with them. Most of them are just, like where our bike lanes are and where we have signs and little catches that he found and how much money has been spent on the White Pine Trail over the years and things of that nature. That's all I have, so unless you guys have any questions. Yes.
I wondered why you didn't, we're not continuing the Hanchett property. And I know that it's been around for a long time and been a part of the old plan, but now with Simon's, I guess, leaving, it gives maybe an opportunity sometime down the road for a great redevelopment area there.
You mean as a focus area?
As a focus area, why? Yeah.
So I think at the time when we were doing this and coming up with our focus area, we have a charrette that we've done on the Hanchett property. Simon's had not yet come out that they were, going to eventually close or would be closing. So we didn't have that knowledge to try to do an all-inclusive plan there. And so I think that's what the thought was, well, we have a charrette that we've already done with some ideas for the Hanchett property. Let's try to select maybe some other properties that could be potentials.
Has Simon's indicated when they vacate, are they demolishing, are they
It's gonna sit there.
just gonna sit there forever?
I haven't had any conversation with them.
I don't think the intention is for it to sit there forever, but for the relatively shortish, long-term.
Can you make sure, one of the things we get complaints on is we can't hear, cause you all lean back
So-
to listen.
It's, I don't know, I can't speak to how long, but for the time being, that building's just gonna sit there, and their intention is to secure it as best they can. Cause I know it's been a conversation had about people being in there when they're not necessarily supposed to be, and the hazards that are in that building, chemically, physically, all kinds of different stuff. So for now, the intention is that building's just gonna sit there until somebody decides to do something with it, that's my understanding.
Yeah, and they are still working out of it currently,
Yeah.
I think for,
For like a couple more months.
yeah.
Okay.
I had a comment in reading it, kind of related to what Tim said. It's just incredible. I know we started this a couple years ago, right, with the consultant and everything. It's just incredible how much of it is already out of date as far as things that have happened and changed in the community, which is inevitable. That's not a dig on
Right.
anyone, just the nature of the beast. So it's also interesting to see that we're projecting continued population decreases. I was curious if that's in line with Michigan as a whole or unique to this area.
So Michigan, I don't know what they're projecting in the future, but Michigan as a whole has lost population.
Sure.
As of late, whether that continues is hard to predict. I know if you look at like the climate stuff, Michigan is a top place to move to if you're worried about climate change. So,
Another 5 years, it'll be like Tennessee 10 years ago.
The master plan went out to different organizations, other communities to review. Who did they go to? And what comments, if any, did you get back?
I didn't receive any comments back except for from Big Rapids Township who reviewed it. They found a typo for M20 in it, and I passed that along. Other than that, they were happy, and they felt like it was consistent and matched well with their master plan. We send it to all neighboring communities, plus we have to send it to utility companies.
Ferris got a copy?
Huh?
Ferris State,
Ferris got a copy, yes.
MDOT,
MDOT gets a copy, yep. All roads, utilities, those kind of, they all get copies of it.
This was represented on the steering committee as well.
Yes. We did have a Ferris member on the steering committee.
So the action before the board is to decide whether or not to recommend the master plan for approval to the city commission, yes?
Correct.
So just to cover our bases, I'm assuming that no one wants to speak for or against the master plan. So we'll close the public hearing and move into fact finding for the commission. Anyone have anything to say that they haven't already said?
will this get you closer to your redevelopment-ready community?
So the redevelopment ready community is a program that the city has been working on for multiple years. And one of the items is to have an updated master plan. They have reviewed our master plan, the draft, determined that it would meet the criteria that they have. They don't give really a whole lot of direction on what has to be included in the master plan, just that it's an updated version and you have a housing component and you have transportation components and things you typically find in master plans. So they've reviewed it and are good with it.
I remember her, I can't remember her name, our consultant, I wanna say Tiffany, but that's not right.
Tanya?
Tanya, thank you. Referencing this section would be a part that would, this section will be part of your evidence for that. So several times I can remember her mentioning that was in line with presentation for that grant.
Okay. So what the master plan isn't, it isn't law, right? That's what you said. It's not law.
Correct.
It's not set in stone.
It's not set in stone. No, you can
It's a
change
living-
it.
Living document.
It's a living document that
So it
can get
can
changed.
change over time.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't cure everything.
It, it does not.
If only it did.
So I understand.
So have we obtained the redevelopment ready?
We have not. We are very close. We have this to complete, and then I think there's a few items in our zoning ordinance that needs some attention to become redevelopment ready.
Have we ever made it to redevelopment ready yet? No. Okay.
We're really close.
How close?
I think like 3 or 4 items left
3
to
or
do.
4 items. One
Yeah.
being the zoning change.
One, yeah, and I believe they're all in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, can I ask about the zoning, the next step after this?
Sure.
How are you gonna
Approach
Proceed.
it.
proceed with that? Yeah, once this gets approved, then what happens?
So once this is approved, Joey and I have already started reviewing the zoning ordinance. We're making comments on things that we think could be worded better or are outdated, or maybe we want to look at closer to get an idea of things. We received a grant for $50,000 so we can hire a consultant to help us in that process. We haven't completely figured out how we're gonna move through that process, if we're gonna be the main ones rewriting and bring a consultant in when we need it, or if we hire a consultant to do the work and then work closely with them. We're still working through how we want to move forward with that, whether we do it with the entire planning commission or if we select, a steering committee kind of to be a part of that process. We're still working out some of the details, but we're hoping to get going very quickly on it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any other discussion on, I guess, anything with the master plan?
I mean, we've rehashed it a few different times and kind of discussed it. I'm good.
So if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion, one way or the other.
Can you make, if you move to approve, can you approve with the changes to the bike language that I got a phone call on?
I make a motion to approve
Recommend approve.
recommending the master plan to the city commission, including the changes for the bike information provided to Michelle. Move forward to the city council, I don't know if I, or to the city commission, I don't know if I said all the right words.
I'll second that.
Joey, if I get a roll call, please.
Borowski,
Yes.
McLeod,
Yes.
Vogel,
Yes.
Uzi,
Yes.
Reddick.
Yes.
Moving to the next item on the agenda, general business. Do we have any update on Crest Oil and or 507 Winter?
We do have an update on both. I just wanted, we met with Crest Oil. They made a little change to their site plan. They removed, I don't know if you remember their site plan in great detail, but they removed their diesel filling and just added it in to where their
Oh.
other,
That kind of separate pavilion they had
yeah,
set aside?
they had a separate diesel area for fill. Those are now included in with the other pumps, so they're not gonna have that separate section. Other than that, they're moving forward as the plans showed and should be, I think, whatever your extension was, which I believe was to April 1st, April 30th, somewhere in there.
Something like that.
They plan on meeting that deadline, so they should be good to go. 507 Winter, just wanted to let you know that the city commission did approve that special use request for the home occupation. So he is also good to go and moving forward.
It was in the paper even.
Yes.
Okay. Now on to the super fun stuff.
Now on to the fun stuff. So we've talked about CIP and how to have the planning commission become more involved in the CIP process, which is the process that we use to help us figure out the budget and what projects the city is going to take on for the next couple of years. So how it works is every department head provides a document, which I sent to you guys, that shows all the projects that they want to do, how much they cost, or an approximation of how much they cost, and how important they think it is. And then we sit down as department heads and rank everyone's, we individually rank all of the requests, and then I take all of that information and combine it together and we work on making, ruling out with what our budget numbers are, what we can actually afford to do out of the request. And then we move forward with that to the plan commission and to the city commission. So this year, so we could have the planning commission become more involved, we thought it'd be a good idea to have the planning commission help do some rankings of it. Cause usually in the past, I guess, 2 plan commission members had done this process or helped serve on the committee that helped rank the projects, and since no one, I think Tim has been a part of that before, but no one else had. You guys expressed interest in doing it as a board together. So that's what we're here to do. We rank 1 through 5, 1 being the most important, 5 being the least important. and we can have discussion on the projects, or you can just tell me what you think you wanna put as a number, and we'll just go down the list.
I'm just making sure, I think I have the same page pulled up.
So the first one, if you're on your sheets that I sent you, is the airport, from the airport, for new asphalt on the west side of Hangar B.
I'm sorry, Michelle, one clarifying question. The CIP is for projects that are not included in these departments' operating budget for this fiscal year, correct? This is money the city's gonna give them to do extra stuff beyond their usual budget.
Correct, yeah, so this is, this would include not our typical operational costs, but
The dollar value, what's the bottom line dollar value on these projects? 7,500, or
I
it
think
has to be over
usually-
that threshold to be
Oh,
in the
how,
capital?
yes, so our minimum, anything over 7,500, you have to put a CIP in.
And anything under that has to be handled with the department budget, or? could-
Yes,
Okay.
usually.
Interesting.
And are we doing just the next year, or are we doing all 6 years?
That's up to you. From the side.
Well, I'm just, this is 1 year, right?
Right. They do get less as you go on, but as it's your first year, there's 5 of you for discussion. It's fine if you wanna do just the first year. Let's start with just the first year and see how we
See
do.
where we end up, yeah.
And 1 is the highest priority, 5 is the least.
Mm-hmm.
Going one on Kaleidoscope Planter, first year.
I'm sorry, what, 1 is low and 5 is high?
Other way around.
Opposite. One is the most
highest
important.
priority, 5 is the least.
One is the most important. So do you?
Starting at the hangar?
Yep.
Okay, one more clarifying question, I guess. So you want us to just give you a 1 through 5 on each one? We're not picking out 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Just throw a number at you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So we move through them all. Just assign a number like, oh, this seems really important. This doesn't seem like it's super important for the community.
I try to think of the last time I used the airport.
So probably no.
It's kind of a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, the airport's
Involved with it,
probably a
but-
hard one to start with because
Yeah.
it's usually only used by industry or private.
But it's a relatively small area at 15,000.
And it
And
is.
it must be wore out, I'm presuming it's wore out.
There was
It's
some
a
reading that it was
presumption on my
hard for
part
planes
that-
to transition in and out.
That's what it sound. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what his report on it sounded like, or their report on it.
I would
Defense of the airport, Chris really likes it, right?
Chris did compliment in our meeting how wonderful our airport is to have because their employees are almost all out of the UP. And so they fly them in and they like having an airport because they can fly them right to our airport with their plane to come to work on Monday and then they fly them home every Thursday or Friday.
What?
So
Yes.
they're
Their company only, so they have Christ Oil,
Yep.
and then they have KSK Construction, which only does Christ Oils.
Yeah.
So they fly, and they're all out of the UP. So they were very complimentary of our airport, and we're very happy that we had one here.
Yeah, I mean,
if that makes it a 1.
Does your history of
Huh?
the city give you any insight into how important the airport is to the community?
Well, I think maintenance is important, I think that's what this is, and so I think it's important to maintain what you have, and
Yeah.
so I think it's a 2.
I was kind of in that three,
Three is where I was.
that mid-range, cause I'm like, well, it's not a 5, because it wouldn't be there if we didn't need it. But again, as Rory said, I don't know the last time I personally used it, but, I think I was thinking 3, just because it's maintenance, it's something the city uses.
I would almost agree with the 3, except for if you let asphalt go too long, now it's complete replace, not just milling it and retopping it. Or is this complete replace?
It says new.
Build summary attached.
And it is a smaller amount.
You know, it's high value aircraft that are using it. You know, I think we have to maintain it, and I think it's worth a 2 in my view, from my experience.
Yeah, before you said it's a maintenance issue, I was at a 3, but I'd be okay with going to a 2,
Okay.
thinking of it as maintenance.
I agree.
2.
Two it is.
2 it is. 1 down.
Yes. We did something.
So the old jail committee submitted 3 different things that they would like. One, the most important one for them was the foundation and windows. The second most important was the roof, gutters, and turrets. And the third was the chimney. We did get those quotes from a builder who does historic renovations to do them, but and if you want more history on like where we're at or what's going on there, I'd be happy to give that to you, but those were the 3 out of all of the issues that they have at the old jail that they thought were the most important.
I'm
Can I get
personally,
a quick synopsis of what we're doing at the old jail these days?
So we have a committee. We are currently going for national designation of a historic structure, which would get us tax credits. If we have tax credits, we can either sell the building to a developer. They could use the tax credits to make any improvements to the property. Then they get a better tax rate for that. If we don't sell it to a developer, we can sell tax credits to developers for other projects, and then you can use those tax credits to do repairs on the structure or to make it a usable structure again. And so these are things that they thought were important to keep the building safe and decrease the amount of damage that could come in the next couple years. The historic tax designation takes about a year to go through, and we just filed.
And there was a quite large turnout of, I think the city, residents from the city that really, really wanted it to be something. I didn't make it to the actual tour, but I watched the video of the tour and the meeting right afterwards, and there was a lot of people who were very passionate about keeping it and doing what needs to be done to keep it up to stuff. Like there was a big turnout and everything, so.
The struggle is the use. What do
Right.
what do you use the building for? We haven't conquered that yet.
I'm at a 3, 4, and 5 in that order.
Me too.
Is everyone good with that?
I grew up going to the old jail. I love the old jail. It's great. I think it's super cool to have in the community. But what do we use it for besides going, hey, look, we have the old jail?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, I used to go to Girl Scout, I think I had
Same.
karate classes there, are they still even doing that kind of thing?
There's meetings right now for the quilters, And the garden club, AA meets
AA does meet
there.
yeah.
So there's some,
There are some uses.
there's some uses, but not substantial in there,
Trying to market that more now.
yes.
The city's taking a more active.
We're
hand in
working on getting
managing
it
the building.
As well,
cleaned
right?
up, and we do have one resident living there.
Yeah, and that's probably a chicken and egg issue, like, we don't use it because it's not super usable, but also it's not super usable, so we don't use it, like,
Yes. So 3, 4, 5, everyone's good? Okay. Next is a kaleidoscope planter.
5.
Next is the fire engine from public safety to replace a 1998 fire engine.
Seems like other years we put multiple amounts of money towards these purchases. Is this one of those that we're now,
We have, I think in this year's budget, they put 250 in, I'm not 100%.
we put 250 in last year, and then I think that 250 will be part of this
Yeah,
amount, but don't quote me on that.
I think there is 250 already sitting aside for it, but, and I believe they're out to bid, they're out to spec.
The city commission directed the department to go out to bid at the last, not the last, but so a couple meetings ago.
Yeah,
seems like it's a one to me, I don't know. Seems like a health, safety kind of thing.
Fire engine seems like the one.
You don't want it to be an issue.
You don't want it to be used at your house either.
Yeah, so I agree with it, the one.
okay. Security camera system upgrade, there, we have probably around 180 camera licenses, and this would upgrade software and servers. This also includes our IT does work for like Mecosta County, and so this also includes some of what we would do for them, and so 30,000 of that 80,000 would be repaid to us by the people that we contract with.
This, from what I read, was just licensing that. Like user licensing is what it looked like?
License upgrade plus software and servers.
Not cameras.
I think there's cameras included.
Okay. Because I was kind of disturbed when something happened in my neighborhood 2 years ago, and the video off the cameras wasn't good enough to identify anybody who perpetrated the crime.
And I don't know what cameras specifically.
Those were the ones on Parkview that
Oh.
shine back towards my house, but they were like, oh, well, we can't get a positive ID on the people that did it. But
Make cameras that would do that? Is that what we're getting?
I don't know. I don't know if
It
we're
was just
getting to
licensing.
that
We've got
degree.
something in
I'm pretty
here
sure
that
this is
talks about it,
just
trying to
licensing
find
and
it.
software and back end.
That's what I remember reading, yeah.
Seems like you gotta do it then. Seems like it's a one. I mean, you gotta, they need to do it, and seems like it's important to me.
Yeah, I took it as it being support for what's already in place. And if we don't have the licensing for the stuff that we already have, it could be an issue.
Okay, I can put it as a 1. Library basement bathrooms. So this is a multi-year request. They're requesting 60,000 total, just 20,000 each year to build towards that for 3 years to redo the bathrooms in the basement of the library.
I haven't been in the library in a long time, but I
I'd
would
advocate
personally-
as a one.
Yeah.
I have 2 little kids, and I know a lot of people in the community that can't access services without going to the library. I'm a big supporter of the library, and I think if something there needs upgraded, I would put it as a 1 personally, because I see a lot of use there.
I was gonna say a 1 or a 2, so yeah.
Was,
I think the bathrooms in the basement haven't been updated since they did the big renovation.
I'm okay with that.
1?
Yeah.
Okay. Library carpet on the first floor. Friends has agreed to pay $3,000 of that request. I believe it's just for the stairway going into the library and then the main lobby area of the first floor where it gets the most use.
Yeah, I would also say a 1 on that.
Okay.
Okay.
Good, everyone? Yep. Police tasers, new tasers for all officers. Currently, they only have 6. It's also a multi-year request. So right now, it sounds like the officers are all sharing tasers. This is a request that they each would be able to have their own.
She wrote a note, I can't find the pages I was reading from the original, it's the same document, but she wrote a note that said it was the equivalent of having guns to having your police officer share guns. This would give each officer a taser, which is an impactful statement for me to read.
You know, it's less lethal.
Let's say
You
it's a
know,
Leslie
it seems
Flash.
like that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's okay.
1.
Yeah.
Fine.
Radar and LiDAR detectors for the police department.
These are for in their vehicles.
I mean, if you're asking, it's a 5. I mean,
Well, what did they say? I mean, are the other ones worn out, or, I mean, I don't recall, I don't have it in
There's
front of me.
a lot to read about the specs.
I don't wanna see the specs, I just wanna,
I just,
It gets to a point where those systems become outdated and they have to be calibrated and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah.
It's just keeping up with the times.
I mean, it's
that need to
important for
speak.
the officers to have an office that they sit in for 8 hours or whatever. And if that's what they need, I think it's okay. I think it's important.
page 170. If you have the same packet you sent us, it's page 170, which has master plan and that.
Nope, because your document only has 135
Oh,
pages.
no, I'm not. I'm just,
Okay.
I'll say 1, I think it's important.
good. Everyone good with 1?
It says models are extremely outdated, lack current technology advancements. The newest models for LIDAR have increased laser accuracy.
Yeah.
And some fancy more words about catching mosquitoes.
kind of make their job easier. It's a better tool.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Day room remodel for public safety. Remodel the day room. Most items are over 20 years old.
What's the day room?
It's
So the day room in the
Is like the
station
kitchen
is
area.
it's a common area where there's seating for like lunch and things like that. We have the
Okay, so the
kitchen.
kitchen-
Yeah, we have
kitchen
the
area,
kitchen
okay.
area. We have common area for eating. We have a couple of recliners for folks that are on like break or something like that. It's,
I
Yeah.
know which one.
I was
Yeah.
thinking it was a meeting room, okay.
no,
Well, that's why I ask. It's
yeah.
it's the interior of the building.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's really the lunchroom, dining room.
Yeah,
Uh,
kind of a catch-all room that's got a couple refrigerators, a big dining table, and
Shared between departments, correct?
Yes.
And so fire guys spend a lot of time there?
they probably spend more time there than the police officers do, just because they're not out in the cars all the time. But like during the day and things like that, they're out doing different whatever needs to be done that day. But in the evenings, yeah, probably, depending on how many projects are going on. But it's used by a lot of different folks, and
Maybe a 2.
But, yeah, I'd support that.
okay. A water softener to the public safety water system.
with the caveat that I work at the fire department, 1, It's so bad. The water that we have in the city eats appliances at that building that use the water. Constantly when we wash things, we're constantly chasing water spots. I'm not actually offering that as my opinion, but it's bad.
Why do we need a water softener
On
coming
municipal
from this?
water.
Yeah.
That's a great
Let's
question.
beg for some
The
more
municipal
information.
water, we've replaced the washing machine a handful of times. We've replaced any appliances that touch the municipal water multiple times.
Do you have some, I don't know this, do you have a different water line because fire and filling up trucks? Are you in a different water line than?
Not that I'm aware of.
Interesting.
Something about the water at the station eats
That's
things.
interesting.
Can we get that information to Public Works?
One, and then questions? One with questions?
I'm not saying we should actually put that at one. That's just.
Yeah, I don't know that one is, but it seems like Public
No.
Works should at least be aware of that.
I would hazard that they are.
Okay.
But I don't
Let's
quote me on
officially
that.
make sure that they are aware of that.
Well, let's do 2 then, how's that? Well, 2,
Yeah, that's weird. That seems strange that.
I mean, I'm not against, I'm just.
yeah, no, I get it, but it's odd. It seems like to me, knowing the water system, it's odd, but I think of my house and
We had a coffee maker that was repeatedly catching on fire because it was so eaten up by the water and
And you
different
could put
things.
smaller filtration systems in too that are on the line that you use for drinking water or billing.
I'm just telling you what the water does. I don't know all the
No,
specifics
that's
of the
weird.
project.
They're
Well,
safe.
you've still lived there, so I
Tell,
mean-
tell Public Works, so we can make sure they're safe.
Yeah, it's just that's weird. That's a weird
Yeah.
one. I
The
don't know.
2 with questions. That's what I'm putting.
2, did we say 2? Okay.
Next we have the upgrade the AV equipment in the community room at Public Safety. So this is the meeting room that they would do like all their training.
That's where we have the CPR
we
classes.
CPR classes are there.
If you vote there, that's the
Like
room
when
you
we
go
would
in to
go
vote.
for voting and
Yes.
that.
Yes.
I mean,
Do we know what they're doing?
I guess I would rather, I put it 2, because I think the fire truck's more important, but, no, it's a lot of money.
I was thinking 3. I don't really know.
I feel like I'd go a little more 3.
It's not. It's something that needs done, but it's not like directly related to safety or
Be
something.
great. Yeah, they'll have new recliners soon.
3?
3. The next one is
Sorry.
Mill and replace parking lot.
Yep, so this is coming out of the DDA's budget, is what they have noted. So 200 North Michigan parking lot, that's where the farmer's market is.
Oh.
To mill and refill that parking lot. So that doesn't come out of the general fund, it comes out of DDA,
Which remind me what DDA is.
Downtown Development Authority.
Do you still want a rating from us, even though it's not our budget?
Yep.
One if we're not paying for it.
I mean, it's still.
Well, believe me, you're paying for it
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
Nothing's free in this world.
I wouldn't say that you're not paying for it. It's just not from the general fund of the budget. The outdoor seating, so these are the seats that
What do we rate it, 1?
I had a 1. That's the only response I got. I can change
ahead.
it.
So to mill and replace the parking lot, you're talking about on the north end, past Bernie's where they hold it the
The farmer's
farmer's
market.
market and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
So where does the DDA get their budget from? From the city or from grants or?
Well, so they collect, there's like a TIF over
Mm-hmm.
our downtown that funnels, they capture tax money
Okay.
that goes directly to the DDA.
Okay.
You know, would this include the strange patch of grass in the middle?
Where we put sunflowers at this year?
Yeah.
I don't think they're planning on paving that.
I just wondered since we're.
That's a great question. I paid it, but that's not me.
I'll put it as a question. I didn't
But
see
now
any.
that that area is being used for, I mean,
Now we have
Yeah,
sunflowers.
the sunflowers are nice, but yeah, I just thought we would.
That's a great question.
Outdoor seating, so these are the seats that you see in the downtown. DDA pays for them, businesses pay $300 a year.
The green picnic tables.
No, the barriers with the chairs and tables that just came out this year.
Are these additional ones?
Additional ones, yeah, we have one business, Shooters wants two, so we know that they want some. And then, I think we did it for 5. And so Cottage and Pizza last year expressed that when they came in, they would be interested. They are still coming. And so the other 2, I think, are just in case someone else shows interest.
Say, given all the work we did to get the
big-
leisure, whatever, recreation area?
Social district.
Social district, thank you.
yes. I was saying the same thing.
I would say a 3 or a 2.
I support it too, yeah, and there's some, return.
There's some return, yeah. 300, we get 300 per area. Novak Lane Lift Station, remove and replace existing lift station equipment.
What is Novak Lane?
Novak Lane isn't that to the north?
Novak is down by Riverview.
Oh,
where
yes.
wastewater treatment plant is.
Okay.
It ends, there's a cul-de-sac right there, right at the wastewater treatment plant, or when Kellen Ball Field really goes back, and all that, the waste from all those houses goes down to that lift station and is lifted up to Lilac probably.
And that, again, is not a general fund request.
I mean, seems like a one to me.
Doesn't seem optional, yeah.
Yeah, all of the, I kind of feel the same way about most of the wastewater treatment stuff. It's like if it's something that's needed for the infrastructure.
So where is the money from the water treatment plant coming from if it's not general fund for these projects?
So water treatment and wastewater treatment come from user fees. And then they're also looking at, for the wastewater treatment plant itself, it's the wastewater treatment plant, yes, that they're looking at taking a 1% interest loan. I think they talked about it at the last city commission meeting.
Sure.
Wasn't there $10 million bonding that they're doing? Would this be part of that bond?
Yeah.
Are all the wastewater treatment plant ones part of the bond?
Yes. One's for all wastewater.
I would say so.
So
Yeah, I think so. It's,
So that gets us down to barriers for events. So this year we had barriers for like the Christmas parade that we rented for the downtown. The request is to work towards buying barriers over the next 2 years, so we don't have to rent them from Grand Rapids.
Is this a DDA?
No, this is of the general fund.
No, it is not from the DDA. It's coming from the general.
Was there an issue that prompted us to do that at the Christmas parade? I know we've had a history of creep into the road, but there was no,
The issue was the creep into the road. At the prior year's event, it got to the point that Josh had to get on the speaker system to ask people to back up because the trucks couldn't see where the kids were.
There were no incidents, but it could happen.
It could have been,
they seemed well received this year by the community.
yes.
I would say a 2 or
Love
a 3.
parades, I'd go to.
I'll do it too.
How much did it cost us to rent those?
I believe it was like 2,500 or 3,000. But I don't, maybe it was 5,000. I don't
No,
remember.
the math isn't mathing for me there.
Math doesn't math.
We're gonna spend 60 grand on something that we could, and have to store and maintain and everything else, and
I can tell you there's also been discussion that if we have them, would other people rent them from us?
and they can be used for more than just the one parade.
They can be used for more than one parade. Public Works has talked about how, like, when they put cones in driveways to keep people out of parking lots that are being used for downtown, people just drive around the cones.
Sure do.
And things like that, and how the barriers.
Streets off
People
four
just
events,
drive
you
around,
can use them there.
guys in battle vests with big flash
Block
trucks
streets
behind
off
them.
of those. It's not a legal
Oh, okay.
way to block a street out. They have other barricades for that.
So,
Stick with 2.
2? Sounds good. New water plant maintenance van. That comes from our motor pool. All vehicles come from our motor pool fund. And I believe
Something, this like, there's issues around town, they're leaving the water plant and going to repair things.
they're also, I believe, use it to that, and then they also, I think, check, like, we have to check our public water.
2?
There's an hourly rate.
They should start with the
You
water.
get the hourly, there's an hourly rate charge that includes replacement. So when they bring these vehicles out, supposedly that the money is there based on the hourly rate and the number of hours used, that it's been depreciated and the funds collected over the years.
To go to the
Is it-
motor,
Am I right? Is that still how it is?
to go to the motor pool fund. Yeah, I have a line item in my budget.
I kind of saw them as 3s because it's not, like, yeah, it needs done, but it's not immediate. Like the vehicles, it says they're replacing, so they have a current vehicle. I had them as 3s because, yeah, they need done, but it's not a pressing.
It's also an almost 20-year-old maintenance vehicle. You know, like, I understand how that could be measurable to work out of.
Do you happen to know, is this one of the items that they've been on here for like 3 years that they keep trying to push up, or is this?
No, so Scott,
that
I
would
think,
be-
keeps like a list of, and he has, cause he has one, he has them for the next 6 years, like his,
Already based on your.
yeah.
Well, because there's another one down here that they're replacing a 2001. So, I mean, with vehicles, it's just, I think it's hard to, for me, it's kind of hard to judge which vehicle we need more than the other besides something like a fire truck. But, you know, with replacing them, I just kind of put them at a 3 because I can't tell just on paper, how do we replace this vehicle? Well, this one's older, this one's from 2001, not 2007.
We'll give it a 2 then. I think it's more important than a 3. It's not a fire truck.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Two for vehicles.
And you wanna do the rest of the motor pool stuff the same way? Instead of going through each one, you got the engineering, you got the water plant, the engineering, motor pool.
Talking about for each of these vehicles, the 2007 van, the pickup.
Put them all as 2s.
I can do that. All vehicles is
Does that make
2.
sense, folks? or not?
Yep, I agree with
That
that.
makes sense.
You want the utility vehicle for the parks too?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is replace and elevate the pavilion at Hemlock Park.
I didn't understand the description when it said from flooding. Why would they do that and put all that expensive stuff there and that shelter? Am I thinking of the wrong shelter? I'm thinking of the one at Hemlock, right?
You're,
1972.
The pavilion that's kind of V-shaped,
Um,
right off the, used to be right next to.
Are they concerned that the new water feature is gonna flood this, or is it from the river?
I think it's always, the runoff has always had water going to it. I think it's the runoff from the parking lot
Oh,
that runs right into the pavilion.
I bet it
I
does.
don't think it's a new issue from the splash pad.
Oh, well, I didn't think of it from that way, but it seems like all that parking lot drains away. Okay, maybe it's not the river, we're not talking about the river. then.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? We're not talking about the
No, we're
river.
not talking about the river.
Oh,
I
well,
think it's
okay.
all
All right.
water that
I think it,
collects in that area in the spring and in heavy rains and things like that. There can be quite a bit of standing water down there.
mm-hmm.
I think we've done a lot of updating and put a lot of money into the park. So I mean, you can kind of look at it two different ways. One way, it's like we just put a lot into it, so it may be a 3, or we just put a bunch into it. Let's finish it and do like a 2 or
I'm leaning more towards a 2 with the finish it kind of idea.
because it's gonna be. I think this summer is gonna be huge for the park.
Well,
We have a lot of ones and twos.
we do.
I'm not arguing, I'm just making an observation.
The pavilions. I think I remember when they built that pavilion.
1972.
No, I don't remember when they built that.
Okay. Just so you-
I remember that pavilion being there as long as I've been in town, so older. I remember building Playscape.
Permanent bathrooms for industrial park. So what that cost is that's what it cost us to do the bathrooms at North End. If you haven't been out to North End, we just put new bathrooms out there for, that were pre-built, and they brought them in, and we just had to put the septic.
3, maybe.
So, I'm sorry, these are the bathrooms that run into North End? Or-
Well, it's the same type of bathroom, but
Right.
they're requesting them at industrial park.
What is
Which-
industrial park?
Is
There's
that- that's-
soccer fields
Yeah.
and baseball or softball fields across from what was Wolverine.
And they
well,
have
hey, at
one
least
now,
there's
I
water
think,
and
now. I
sewer
don't think
there.
we're-
Yeah.
Porta Johns.
Yeah.
That's a 3 or a 4 for me.
I'll go,
Yeah,
I'll stick
I
with
would.
3
I would be okay with that one getting kind of kicked down the road
or 4.
a little bit.
Fours. Okay. Mitchell Creek stairs. So these are the stairs going from the parking lot down into Mitchell Creek Park.
Oh, the
They're
wooden stairs.
awful.
Yeah.
Those wooden
That's a one,
stairs.
someone's gonna get hurt and sue us. I'm not kidding, I mean,
No, I
the
think
steps
they are. They're
lift
bad.
right off.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the walkways between the ice cream and the farmer's market, right? Would they go down?
Yes, it's
Some
directly
people
between
might
ice
go
cream.
down and around. Yeah.
Directly between my home and ice cream.
Well, number
So
1 then.
which stairs, we're talking about,
Wait,
we're talking
hang
about the
on.
wood stairs, the multi-level
Yes.
stairs that have been there
They
since
start by where the bank
1970.
is, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on that
Oh,
southeast
okay.
corner.
Go down.
Yeah, they are getting kinda, we just did pictures there.
Let's give it a 1.
A 1.
Yeah, I'm okay with
They
that.
must be in really bad shape.
No, they're bad.
They're bad. Pool redevelopment. So there's 2 pool things on here, just so you understand. There's the full project, which is if we get the RAP grant that we're applying for, would have a $500,000 match. And then there's also just the cost of remarciting the pool over multi-year.
It's a lot, but it seems like this city is always,
Pool with us investing, do you know, it seems old.
It was built 1974.
74.
And it's had, it's the surface on it, and it lasts 7 to 10 years. And it's just a maintenance item that you have to do.
yeah, and it seems like the city's really
That just
behind
comes
it.
off, you have to fix it. Or you don't have a pool, the health department won't let you go through it.
Yeah, and so
So,
they put off the deep end for a couple years. I do know that because kids don't touch the deep end, so their feet aren't getting cut.
Oh, it's what cuts your, I remember that as a kid in swimming lessons, you gotta move that up.
The feet are gonna, you know, it's a rough surface when it's new. It's a little better, but you get the, you know, anybody's foot rubs on that. It's, sometimes takes time to toughen it up. It really does. But yeah, it pits it. The chlorine in that will pit that and makes it rougher. But it's falling off the walls, right?
Yes.
So to clarify, we're talking about the couple lines down the remar siding right now.
The remarsh siding, because we've applied for the grant.
Right.
Which if we get the RAP grant,
I might get
we
tile.
included the cost of the marsh site in that application. But then we also included other site development, redoing that parking lot, putting in some more handicap accessible parking, sidewalks for safety, lights.
So let's say we set this money aside and don't get the grant. What happens then?
We could either carry it forward or it could be spent on a different project. It could be used to pay for the remarsh siding. So
So 500,000's for the match,
the 500,000
For-
for the
for all
match,
that?
for the grant.
for the big application grants,
Yeah.
which they approved.
At the last city commission to apply.
Say one and get it done.
Good.
I mean, to me, the remar siding's the one, the redesign of the whole thing is like a 4 on my personal scale. But I understand if it's supposed to be all one thing, it's hard to split.
I love the, you know, I feel like in the last couple of years, we're really embracing the pool again, and I love that. I would just love to know if there's a good plan. Don't know that.
Well, I think we'll see after this year having the splash pad and stuff. See how much attention the pool gets after the park has been completely redone. I think it'll be interesting.
Are we thinking number 2 on 38 and number 1 on 41?
I can do that. Remarsh siding is more important than the rest.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Absolutely.
That has to be
Is
done.
that how you guys want to do it?
But we,
Yeah,
you
I
wanna
would
go that
say-
high?
Okay.
I mean, it like,
you mean for the 500?
Do a 2.
As long as we can reverse side it, I'm okay with that.
Just from watching the city commission meetings and the Parks and Rec, it seems like it's what the residents are gonna have a hard time giving up the pool. And it seems like,
No, I absolutely agree. I love the pool. Big
To support
supporter
it,
of
yeah.
the pool. It hasn't felt like for a little while that we've had a real good plan about what we're gonna do there.
The
yeah, and they
building-
talk
how to
about that, they
execute
talk a lot about trying to
that.
do something to where we can use it for more than 3 months of the year too.
The building is our struggle.
For the handicap accessibility, right?
Just the whole building.
the layout
The
and-
whole building in general, handicap accessible, there's lots
Yeah.
of back and forth discussion on whether we make it 4 seasons. Can we use it for something else? That,
Okay, so we said what, 1 for the Mars site and
2 for the
2
For the grant
500
match.
for the 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Swede Hill restrooms, permanent bathrooms with a grinder and a pump station. These are similar to the bathrooms we just put at North End.
I would move that to a 4 or 5 until more people are using that park, and there are brand new bathrooms just a hike down the trail.
that's a 4 or 5 for me too.
Well, we'll put it 5 then, how's that?
Sounds good.
See, oh, look there.
We don't have to do a bathroom in all parks right away, maybe one every couple of years, you know?
That's fine.
Be
Pickleball
reasonable, maybe.
court lighting. Adding lights and cameras to the pickleball court. This is a multi-year project. This was a request we got from the pickleballers, I believe.
They wanna play at night?
Are they paying for it?
I mean, that's a 3 or a 4 to me, honestly, not far off from Tim's question, like,
But also, how late can they be there?
I
The
think-
park closes at
At
night,
dark.
at dark, doesn't it?
Yeah, all the city parks close at dark.
Are there cameras on that side already, or
There are
are they
lighted
just cameras at
areas.
the park?
Yeah.
I think there's cameras in that area, whether they can zoom in, like,
To see the pickleball court?
yeah, I mean, there's cameras in that area, but I don't know if they have that kind of.
4.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
I'm okay with the 4.
Okay, we already did the Marshsite sidewalk program. This is something we fund every year. 25,000 for repairs and 25,000 for new sidewalks in the community.
When we say new sidewalks, we're talking about pulling up and replacing old sidewalks that are unsafe. We're talking about laying whole new sidewalk areas.
Laying the whole new sidewalk areas.
Kind of goes with master.
It very much goes with the master plan.
It does go with the master plan.
Say 1.
Darwin, mill and fill and reshape and repave part of Darwin.
One.
Is everyone good?
Yeah.
500 Sanborn, widen pavement, add curb and crush and shape roadway.
This must be about the entrance to
I'm
the
not sure where that is.
newer.
It looks like it cuts off the way it printed.
Oh, that could be.
Yeah.
Something's not right.
I also could have typed it in wrong when I was typing all.
We just don't have that entire page. No, I mean, not the entire page, but like, we don't have the bottom part.
That bottom part?
No, I think that's, look at the
In
year.
that Excel, I think. Let me look up
Sanborn, we have a Sanborn.
Each of these pages, I think, is supposed to be a different year, right?
Yes.
I was reading Sandbar.
Not each of the, so I
It's
have
the same
two
version.
pages of
Okay.
25, 26.
Did I spell it wrong?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so I didn't know where that was.
That's a good point. All right.
Did I spell it wrong, Tim?
Sam Burn?
I was assuming we were.
Yeah, it almost talks like it's a single pavement, single pave, no curb and gutter. But Sanborn is all curb and gutter. And so I don't know what they're
Is it even at that new?
crush and shape roadway.
It is Sanborn. I spelled it wrong.
500 block of Sanborn.
Widen pavement, add curb. That's all he told me.
I found a typo then.
Thanks,
Widen
Sam.
Pavement. That's, I just wonder about why, because that whole street is the
Yeah,
So that's-
one width, right? And they're
that's
gonna widen the pavement?
It's the block directly in front of Brookside. I'm wondering if it's related to drop off, pickup kind of thing.
That could be.
Oh, no, I know.
The 500
I'm thinking
block
the
of
wrong street
Sanborn.
then, I'm thinking of Rust.
Yeah. the
I'm
500
thinking of
block
Russ,
of
it's-
Sanborn
you're-
Dead ends into Brookside.
Got it.
And that would come out of the
You took me
local,
right with you. I followed you right down Rust, I think, too.
Yeah.
that would come from the local street fund.
they're kind of talking like they did on Fourth, on the backside of Eastwood, widening it out
Yes.
for the buses and stuff.
Yes.
Yep.
Makes sense.
I would say that's a
That's a
One.
That was a tough one, isn't it? Jeez.
Okay. Mitchell Creek Court, mill and pave from Pine to State. So that's, you probably think of it as an alley. It's the alley.
In between the parking lot and Martin Shapley, I don't know what's over there now.
It'd be the alley
runs from
by Schuberg.
Yeah,
By
Schuberg's.
Schuberg's.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's actually got a name.
Yeah.
Could use it.
It's a pretty rough one.
So that's the alley from Maple down to the police station?
basically.
Or-
Yeah.
Or where?
One
This
block
is a
before
section of it,
Pine
yeah.
Street. Pine to Maple, yeah, Pine is where the,
Pine is right behind us.
Mitchell Creek Park, the area where the creek is, the big bridge right there.
Didn't, just to ask, I remember that coming up here a few years back because Consumers Power wanted to run new conduits down through there, but
It happens.
we had just got done paving that. Okay.
There's a lot of utilities in there. I'm sure, and I'm sure that they're working with those folks to make sure they do that, their work before ours.
The next is extend decorative lights along Baldwin Street, multi-year project.
Came up in master plan.
It did come up in our master plan.
That's a 4 for me.
Personally, I'll give that a 3.
I'd have gone 3 too.
I'm a 3. I'd be a 3 at it.
All right,
Three.
let's do 3 then.
We're good with 3. New water main and paving 900 to 1,000 block of Bjornson.
Probably a 1.
Yeah, that affects the master plan, that, all that new development, gotta have a water main. Right?
Huh?
This is new water main, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Does that have anything to do with Mechanic Street stuff?
I think it just,
Repair and replace infrastructure.
no, it's putting in a new water main along that area.
There's no water main there now.
There's no water main. I don't,
It-
oh,
The Jorgensen, and so that whole area there is that Mechanic Street development. So
Yeah.
This
eventually
would be leading to that,
they need a
right?
water main, so they can probably loop it.
Yep.
You know, and then,
The 900 block of Bjornson would be right in.
you know.
I thought I remember that coming up during one of the meetings where they were talking about that.
no, this
Michelle.
has a water main. There's water here. 900 to 1,000. I think doesn't the water stop here?
Let's look at the master plan. There's a water main map in there.
There's a water main. Maybe expanding capacity.
Yeah, would they always
know the
upgrade by
hydrants don't
diameter, or would they ever
hydrants
upgrade
don't go
by
down
like a
that
twin
far.
pipe?
Well, that's a key. If you don't have a hydrant, they don't have a
Yeah.
main there. Supposed to read this, right?
And if we're developing Mechanic Street,
Right.
they're gonna have to put in hydrants, so there's gotta be a main.
Well, water system. It looks like it goes all the way to, what's that last road there? It starts with an H.
Harding.
Harding.
Yeah.
Looks like there is a water main.
Looks
According
like the
to
rest
this
of the
map,
stuff is
if I'm
mostly like,
reading it right,
So the hydrants,
but it may be only a 4, I don't know, I can't.
Those colors are hard to read.
I can't really tell. I mean, it looks like there's water main to Harding. Are they talking going beyond Harding?
You see that we're gonna get a State Street wower?
powered it there as well. Another typo.
50. We were just saying, there's a few water
Mm-hmm.
main ones that are.
Yeah, there's a lot of water ones here that
All the water comes from the water fund.
So I think those are all, I mean, if it's something that needs done, it needs done.
So we have to remember too.
Well, you absolutely have to make line 51 a 1. That's the lead replacement, I think. And then you somehow,
You don't have a
could we
choice.
make that a 1 and the others 2s to kind of say like
You don't have a choice with that one.
yeah,
For what one?
lead.
Lead.
Yeah.
51.
Do you want all the water mains to be ones? They all come out of the water fund.
I think so. I mean, I
Which
think
comes
if it's,
out of-
if it's infrastructure.
I was gonna say, so a lot of these are not necessarily here because they need money.
From the general
from the
fund,
general fund. They're here because maybe the amount is over the 7,500.
yes.
So really, the ones that are important to rank are the ones coming out of the general fund, because theoretically, the other stuff is paid for.
Yeah. I can
Am I
agree with that.
off base with
Yeah,
that, or-
my only thought, yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then the last one we have is the digital aerials and software.
Talk to me a little bit about the $3 million one there. What,
That's the State Street water main to the FSU tower.
how's
So,
that going to be paid for?
Ferris?
I know,
$10 million.
I mean, it's that main probably between the two towers.
it's between the two
Which goes
towers.
right down the middle of
Yes.
State Street, which breaks all the time.
Yes,
I'm just curious how it's gonna be paid for.
I can put.
Maybe that, I don't remember what they say.
I had these.
It's a lot of money, and and I'm sure it's gonna cost that.
Here's the Bjornson one.
Okay.
The project would strip existing pavement, trench out new water main, reconnect new 8-inch water main, abandon old water main, and grade existing sub-basin base, then pave.
So it's more of a replacement upgrade.
6 to an 8 or something.
It's an upgrade.
Is that what this, is that what she said, 6 to 8?
It says it's going to 8, but it doesn't say what it was.
You probably need it.
Fed off a 6-inch, so it's yeah.
If you're gonna do all that development.
The
you know,
existing
why-
water main is a
you're gonna
4-inch.
need it.
There's your answer.
I'm sorry, you said,
The existing one it said was a 4-inch.
Wow,
oh,
Well, that
well,
one capacity.
you know.
which is the right way to do it if you're gonna do it now, I would think.
4-inch to 8-inch is actually more like
Almost
The
three.
EQ, or the Eagle won't let you pave unless you, with a 4-inch down there, you have to replace the 4-inch. For repaving. Just the way it is. That's because, that's a Flint thing.
So are we thinking of one on 47?
I think we made all of those
All of those?
ones, didn't we?
Yes, all the water I made ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I guess on that number 50, I'm with Tim. I'd just like to know where that money's coming from.
Number,
You're gonna do an EDA grant or something big.
From your pocket, Rory, you pay taxes, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
They were
I'm
gonna,
trying
they were gonna make it use.
less this year. Social Security don't pay for it as well.
Pull it through.
I know we funded,
We did the river crossing up and we sold it with plastic. But it's thick wall.
Sick time
And it was-
Oh, where you can just not even call in for 3 days and still retain your job?
Yeah, there's other things, but part of it
The
is
salesman will say,
that
Yeah.
here it
employers
is.
are not required to pay you out the sick time. The actual work.
They put it in under the water replacement fund.
The water replacement fund?
Yes. Is where it comes from.
it's really up to the city to.
So is that a separate?
It's a separate line item.
So this, basically what it comes down to, and the city is paying for it out of service fees, I'm assuming is where a lot of that
Yeah.
fee comes from.
Yeah, I would assume so, yes. So the last one we have before we lose focus is the aerial software. So this is getting new, closer digital images of the city.
I was not sold on this.
Was that for plating?
For, it doesn't necessarily have to do with plating, it is just for GIS use and
GIS, general.
That came from the assessing
Geographical
office, that was
yeah.
from the assessors, right?
the assessor, so they can use it to compare from previous years, you know, where buildings have moved and changed and things of that nature.
4.
4.
All
All right.
Nice.
Doesn't it seem like somebody, I've got a drone that takes pictures.
Not like that.
Not,
No, not like that.
not like that, cause then it relates to our parcel data. In theory, that sounds great, Rory. All right, so it took us like 40 minutes to do
I'm
that
satisfied
year.
with going through that one fiscal year.
Just 1 year, you're good? Everyone else good?
Fine with that.
Okay. That is all I have, good job.
Any unscheduled business to come before the planning commission? Hearing none. Done.
Go and kill those mics.
We're not on